In what ways was your team best able to take advantage of the bye week?
To practice, how much we believe in being able to go out and work something fundamentally or even scheme-wise, to play against blocks, and it gives you another week to get ready for this game. But just the emphasis on the fundamental part of it.
You've obviously seen Army many, many times in your career. Their record would suggest this might be one of the better teams you've faced. In what ways do they fit that description?
I think you look in each area. Defensively, they've been really good against the run, given up very, very few big plays. I mean, just how well they've been able to keep the ball in front of them and how well they've been able to get off the field on third down. Offensively, their balance, certainly it starts with the quarterback, but some of the interior runs, the perimeter runs by two guys that have pretty good. You look at yards per carry, really impressive, and then being able to hit the throws down the field too.
Going East Coast, right? Early kickoff, I believe it's like noon there. Do you have to adjust like the times you practice or anything to kind of get ready for that?
We don't. I look at, you have so much when you're here at the academy when you wake up. To wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go to class right away, you're up and rolling pretty bright and early. And it's not only during the school year, but certainly for a bunch of the activities in the summer too. So by 10 o'clock Mountain Time, your body and your mind's been stirred.
Have y'all adjusted y'all's kind of goals during this bye week? Like, hey, the first 7 weeks didn't go the way we wanted. You know what? Let's just focus on improving. Let's focus on just winning, beating Army. Have y'all focused a little bit? Your goals?
No. To answer your question, and you helped me there. The improvement part of it, and wanting to push forward to see how well we can play this weekend. That's the aspiration.
You talked about the bye week and playing blocks, things like that. How did you kind of balance the need to get and remain healthy with the need to replicate college football situations?
We practiced. We did. I think you have to wear shoulder pads. I think you have to wear pads. Are you able to do it every single day? No. But I think you have to have that kind of contact both ways. I think offensively you need to do it to block a little better. I think defensively to play blocks, for your ball carriers to feel contact. So we practiced.
And to have 2 bye weeks in a season, have you ever had that since you've been here? And even if you have, it hasn't been often.
Right. And the way it works, it's really from Labor Day weekend to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day, Labor Day to Thanksgiving Day, how many weeks are in between there? And most years it's 11 weeks that are in between there, with the thought being you play one game after Thanksgiving, one game before Labor Day. I think it happens somebody told me twice out of every 9 years.
Were you, grateful to have that, just given the way this season has gone and the way your roster is inexperienced and has been...
We'll take as many days on the field as we can get. Again, there's probably some point where it's a little bit of overkill, but I think it's invaluable to be able to go out and practice and play football.
I think they've scored a touchdown on each of their 7 opening possessions, and I think they're one of 2 teams that have yet to trail in a game. Is there added emphasis on the start in the first quarter to not try to fight uphill against a team that has dominated in that respect?
You want to do it every single week. I think, sometimes what does come into play in these games are maybe a few less snaps, depending on how well you do on third down. The number of series may be a little bit shorter too. I think every game you play, you want to start well.
Haven't played in front of fans per se since 18 there. Do you enjoy playing these games on campus with those atmospheres?
Yeah, I think absolutely. When you go to Annapolis, I believe last year, I think they set, they had a bunch of people there. I think it was one of their more, well-attended games in the history there. And yeah, it'll be a great atmosphere to play football.
What updates can you give on your quarterback position? I saw all three names again listed as potential starters.
I can tell you that probably about the last 4 practices, the 2 guys that have gotten the most snaps there have been John and Quentin.
Okay. So Quentin, as of now, is available?
Yes. Yep, he is.
Okay. And sticking with quarterbacks, Bryson Daly on the other side, you've seen him. How would you kind of assess his skill set?
I think the part that you look at, I'm trying to think, golly, who would you – really 2 different styles, but you just look at the amount of carries that he's had and how efficient those carries are. It's the way the ball goes downhill with a quarterback. Again, they're different carries. I'm trying to think Keenan Reynolds was a guy that had a bunch of carries when he was at Navy. Now he was located in a little bit different spot on a good number of those. But yeah, been very effective running the ball, and yet at the same time being able to hit some throws down the field too.
And when you look back at last year's game in Denver, turnovers was such a huge part of that.
Yeah.
How much has that been preached kind of going into that, especially with that as an example?
You think, I think in about any game that you play, I think especially when there are less plays in a game, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you, but are there going to be about 110, 115 scrimmage snaps somewhere in there? Or maybe some games are like 135. It just, I think, puts a little more premium on each snap, and if you're making it where you only have 21 outs instead of 27 outs, you're making it harder. Or if you do a great job of knocking it out, you're giving yourself a better chance too.
And back to kind of the injury situation, and some guys like Dylan Carson who had missed time came back, having this extra time now. Do you feel like they will benefit from maybe getting closer to 100% than they have been?
Yeah, he's practiced hard and practiced well here over about the last 3.5 weeks.
Are there other guys maybe who you feel like are benefiting from a health? Obviously everybody's a little banged up at this point.
Right. I think for anybody to sit here and try to say, well, this squad's nobody's perfect, and you never will be. So plow forward, and get up there in the plane and roll it down the runway and let's go.
How would you kind of characterize the work you guys did over the bye week? Was it a lot of active live contact? Was it kind of recovery?
Definitely a little bit of both. It was nice because on Monday, went in, had a little jog through. So that was nice to, get those mental reps while also still doing it, but then, give your body a bit of a break because obviously, we've been going after it. So, and then later in the week, kind of like the typical, weekly practice and then finishing it off with another jog through. So yeah, definitely good to, recover, but at the same time, get the reps that we need to be ready for this game on Saturday.
Yeah. How important is that, especially just the way the season's gone with injuries and plus the inexperience coming in, to have the second chance at kind of an extra week to prepare?
Oh, it's great. Yeah. Cause we didn't have it last year. And I can definitely see the difference with, how I guess just me personally, my body's feeling right now. But at the same rate, just, have an extra week to prepare for such a big game is an absolute great advantage compared to last year.
Yeah. You mentioned big game. How do you view this opportunity that you guys have?
Yeah, to one degree, it's, just another game. You want to take every game seriously, obviously. But at the same rate, everyone knows, this is a big rivalry, between the service academies. And so we're definitely super excited for this game.
At this point in the season, did this second bye week feel different in terms of, shifting your focus to, another tough matchup? Just how different did it feel, I guess, in terms to the last comparison to the last one?
Yeah. The last bye week, obviously a different opponent. It wasn't, a service academy. But I'd say the focus is still there. Absolutely. I don't think it necessarily changed. I think which I think is a good thing. Always want to be in the same mindset. But at the same rate, people realize the point of the season that we're at right now, and so definitely understanding how important this game is coming up. So.
You just mentioned it, important matchup ahead. What do you know about the team and challenges they present?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've had a very successful season thus far, but at the same rate, we take every team seriously, no matter the record, which I think is important. But at the same rate, definitely have to go into this game with a different kind of mindset. Knowing how good this team is and how well they've done so far. So,
Last season you guys were undefeated. They were 2-6. Now kind of roles are reversed. Is there a little bit of revenge aspect? Hey, we can get back at them.
yeah, in a sense, absolutely. It's obviously something that no one is oblivious to it. Everyone realizes that it's a thing. But at the same rate, just you want to go into this game getting a win, not just to get revenge on this team, but also to potentially change the course of this season. So there's other factors that go into it as well.
And because Army did that last year, they changed their season after a win against you guys. They haven't lost since. Do you kind of look at that like, hey, we can do that? It's another service academy that did that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you just said it. Like they did it to us last year. And also we've seen good growth over the past couple weeks. And so, if we can change things, change the course of the season this Saturday, who's to say what can happen going forward?
Have you guys set goals in the bye week? Said, hey, let's flush the beginning of the season. Have you set goals like, hey, let's just win the next 5. Let's beat the Army. Let's set any goals.
Right. Yeah, we're definitely in the mindset of take one game at a time. You don't want to look too far in the season, obviously, especially with such a important matchup this Saturday. So I'd say, really focusing one game at a time and then, taking each week as it comes.
By my count, you guys have had 10 offensive linemen start in the past 3 weeks. What is that like to live that? Have new people all around you and just trying to build some cohesiveness with new guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it can be a challenge in a sense. But at the same rate, what I've noticed is that the guys that are stepping up to play, yes, they may have been a 2, but, they were a 2 with someone else. And so they kind of do have a little bit of experience playing next to that person. And then also we've been close in practice over, honestly, the entire course of the season. And so there definitely is some of that, cohesiveness that has already been built. And then getting that game action, the actual live game experience is absolutely built to even stronger levels.
And then, I realize this isn't your position group, but having 3 quarterbacks in the past 3 weeks as well, how is that kind of impacting the offense and the line and just kind of everything else?
Yeah. Each quarterback, the quarterback that we have each week, we don't want to necessarily put too much pressure on them. So we as an offensive line, before every game, not putting too much pressure on ourselves, but, trying to be like, let's just make them feel comfortable in the position that they're in because, past 3 weeks we've had, different quarterbacks play. And so we don't want them to be worried about things that they don't necessarily have to worry about. So as long as we can protect well up front, we want to give them as much, I guess, as easy of a time as possible. That's what I'd say.
You talked about you saw some growth and improvements the last couple of weeks. What are some of those?
I'd say so. Like I talked about a little bit, new offensive linemen getting in the game. So we've built some experience in that regard. Because we had 2 guys start on the right side, and then the very next week we started 2 different guys on the left side. And so I'd say experience is one of those. And then also it's just kind of allowing different opportunities for other guys to step up. Because with 3 different quarterbacks getting in the game, that provides an opportunity for other guys, for those guys that are in that new position to kind of develop a little bit more, I guess, with leadership, I guess. So they're getting that experience. So.
And just this being a, obviously, service academy game, there's a lot of pride in this game. Can you just talk about that a little bit? I know some Army people were doing a prank on the field. Just talk about the pride of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty cool to be on a field where, obviously you go to these schools and, you want to play football and everything, but at the end of the day, you're setting yourself up for a career, one which you'll serve your nation. And there's, very few games where you can actually be a part of that to where every player on the field is in that position. So just kind of thinking about that is definitely a really cool moment, I'm sure I'll enjoy that moment on Saturday, just being able to take it in like that, realizing that's the position that we're in.
And from a football side of things with the Service Academy, I realize you guys are having a down year, but you were part of teams that won 29 games over the past 3 years. Army's playing really well. Navy, lost to Notre Dame. But what do you how much pride do you have in the way Service Academy football is trending right now?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really good to see, I guess the obviously, it's cool to see something that you're a part of alone improve, to a really competitive level, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so then seeing like the other service academies, it's cool to like kind of put ourselves a little bit more on the map, I guess, in that regard, because I feel like a lot of people kind of count out service academies maybe in years past. And then the teams that I've been a part of, we've definitely done a pretty good job of putting ourselves out there, saying, hey, we can compete with some of the best teams in the nation,
First of all, using last year's game as an example against Army, like turnovers were such a huge deal. Going into this one, is that a path that you guys can pull this off?
Yeah, I mean, definitely turnovers were a big deal for us. And we had 6 or something like that, or
I don't remember.
It was a lot, too many to count, way too many to try to win a football game. So on the defensive side, we're trying to make that happen for us. Hopefully get some 6. Because they normally say if you win the turnover game, then you likely win the game. So we're trying to have that in our favor this time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's exaggerated in Service Academy games because there's fewer possessions. So I mean, is that like a conscious? Maybe you would sell out for the shot at a pick or some sort of turnover more so in this game than you would in others just because of the situation?
I mean, definitely. Like you said, less possessions for each, and then also just field position. If you win the field position battle, you're going to win the game, So, yeah, we're trying to focus on turnovers definitely this week.
Yeah. And your mentality going into your last Service Academy game, you don't know what the next 4 weeks are going to bring, but this is a big one. How do you approach it?
Just kind of approach it like I do every single game. Just be dialed in, focused. I mean, try to help the younger guys. I mean, my last time playing Army was back in 2022. I'm just trying to have that same exact feeling that we did when we beat them again.
How beneficial would you say having a second bye week was, especially at this point in the season?
I think it was definitely huge. Just for us, like getting people back from injuries. Also, just us dialing in on our assignments and the techniques that we need to do in order to try to win the game. So,
last season, Army was 2-6, and you guys were undefeated. They beat you guys. Now you can kind of reverse that, right, and kind of start your own streak. How much of a motivation is that? And then you guys knowing that you can do that because Army did it last year.
I mean, I think that's definitely huge. I mean, they derailed our season last year. I mean, simple as that. I mean, we were 8-0 at the time, and all of a sudden take a loss from Army, and then just could never really gain or like get on our feet afterwards. And we have a shot to do that same thing. I think we definitely think it's possible, but we definitely got to lock in on our assignments and techniques this week.
What makes their offense so dynamic?
Just the fact that they run the quarterback. When you run the quarterback, you don't always account for the quarterback just because when they're passing the ball, he's not really a threat for running. But with Army, he runs the ball, so I think that's really just the threat that it gives.
How much pride do you take in these Service Academy games?
I mean, a lot of pride. I mean, shoot. I mean, we there's only 3 of us, so it's a lot of pride, and we don't really like each other too much. Even though we definitely respect each other, but we don't really like each other too much. So I mean, a lot of pride, and yeah.
What do you think about the current state of Service Academy football? I mean, obviously your season's weird just because of all the inexperience and injuries, but Army and Navy are playing really well. You guys had that long run coming into this year. Like, how do you kind of assess the state of it?
I think Service Academy football is pretty good. I mean, I think more people should look at it. It's kind of weird because we run triple option. Most teams really don't. And we run the ball however many sometimes, and we only pass the ball a few times, which is kind of different than most teams, but I don't think we should. I think most people will look down on service academies, and I don't think they really should because I think we have some good talent and we play good ball.
And where were you last year during the game?
I actually went to the game, but I wasn't part of the team. Yeah.
Okay. How helpless was that? Given all of the the circumstances, and then to see the game go that way.
It was definitely, it felt really helpless because I was in the stands and I couldn't even like go down on the field. So it was just trying to yell at the guys and tell them to keep their head up and we can do this thing. But yeah, I definitely felt a little helpless because I wasn't able to really communicate with them like directly. So.
And you would have gone to West Point as a freshman, right, for the game, but no fans. Is that your only time there?
Yes, I went there. Yep.
Okay. How, are you kind of excited to go kind of see what the atmosphere is like at a place where you've never been? Or I guess you've been, but with fans and a more real game day.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. When I went, it was like you said, no fans, and it was just quiet. The only noise was each other's sidelines, which is kind of weird, or like the third down noise that they play on the speakers. That was, but definitely excited to see their environment. Just kind of never seen it. So,
do you guys like kind of have goals for the remaining 5 games of the season?
Our goal is just to win today. Take every day as a stepping stone, and also just win the next game. I mean, that's kind of how we approach it.
And have you been keeping up with Trey or Bo or Jordan? You have 3 of your former teammates right now in the NFL.
We talk a few. I haven't really hit them up in a little bit, but yeah, I know they're doing their thing right now. So.
Thank you, Camby.
Just real quick, you talked about the way they use their quarterback, but when you see him on film, like what makes him so effective in that position?
I mean, he's just a really big guy. You can tell he's really strong. I mean, I think he's probably like 225, maybe 230. So he's kind of like a fullback playing quarterback. So just the fact that he's just really big and physical and he's able to run the ball, kind of makes him a threat.
Okay. And where are you lining up now? I know you had kind of gone back and forth between spur and free safety. Where are you at this point?
Right now I'm at safety. Like I've said, I've been back and forth, but right now they have me at safety.
Okay. And then do you feel like, having the bye week, is the secondary kind of getting a cohesive unit? Or are you guys still shifting around? Because I know there have been a lot of starters in the past few weeks in those spots. Like, where are things at now?
I mean, we're definitely gelling together, just working on our communication, working on our chemistry, being around each other. Like you said, we have had a lot of starters, but I think we're finally starting to, build that chemistry that's needed for our unit.